I'm the vice chair of the Board of Health, and the Board of Health has had hearings recently about smoking, and we've looked at a number of different approaches. It's within the purview of the Board of Health to regulate smoking, including on town beaches. But it was, and we've actually had people come in and request that we bar people from smoking on the benches in front of Town Hall and around Town Hall. And some of the complaints have been about the trash and cigarette butts and side stream smoke that people get. And people have come in and complained about children and dogs eating butts. And butts apparently on the beach do not disintegrate very rapidly, and they remain for a long period of time, and they are toxic to animals and probably not good for children. So in our discussion about how to proceed, it was our feeling that philosophically the town should control the town's property, not the Board of Health, even though we have the authority to do it. So even though we are unanimous in our support of this resolution, our recommendation was to bring it to town meeting and to seek town meeting support for this. Another aspect of it that will come up, I'm sure, has to do with enforcement. And if it were a Board of Health regulation, it would be the Board of Health staff that would be tasked with enforcing that. If it is a town regulation, then it is potentially the police who could enforce this. But I'd like to address that point by just saying, in public health theory generally, prevention theory generally, the idea is that when community makes a decision about what it wants to see in the community, it's the effect of your neighbors and your friends who show you that you're not allowed to do that. People don't smoke in bars today, not because there's a law and the police are going to come arrest you. It's because if you lit up a cigarette in the bar, everybody in the bar would say, what are you doing? You're not allowed to smoke in here. So the idea here from the Board of Health's perspective is that if smoking were banned on town beaches, eventually smoking would stop on town beaches and it wouldn't require massive enforcement or even education programs. It would just happen automatically. That's our approach. So what's proposed is to make Provincetown the 9th town on Cape Cod that would ban smoking on town beaches. Currently, it is banned on all of the national seashore beaches. So we're just talking about the harbor side beaches. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Yes.
Just for my interest, with those other 9 towns, have you gotten any feedback as to how it's working? Because I know at the National Seashore, because I helped do it at one point, there were quite a lot of butts picked up this year in the cleanup time. But that's all I know is down here.
Yeah, I mean, the towns that I've seen, I've mostly seen reports in newspapers like the Boston Globe, and they typically go up and talk to somebody who, is upset that they can't smoke on the beach, and they express their frustration with not being able to live in a free society and smoke wherever they want. And then the rest of the story is about how the town doesn't have to pay a lot of money to clean up the butts. The butts are not just, sitting there on the beach for years and years and years. Pets aren't eating them, humans aren't eating them. I mean, generally it seems to be pretty positive. And again, what is reported is that once it becomes illegal, it just eventually stops. And it's not that you flip a switch and if we pass this next summer, there'll still be people smoking on the beach. But by 2020, there probably will not be people who will sit out and smoke on the beach in front of everybody.
Great.
Yes.
Is there any budget for signage?
The Board of Health would ask for budget if this passes to put a sign, because we agree that, just like the dog leash signs, it has an impact. So even, again, with the dog leashes, what you see is people who take their dogs off leash when they're not supposed to, and as soon as somebody gives them the side eye, they put their dog on a leash. It'll probably be the same thing. People will be out there smoking, and then when someone looks at them funny, they'll take their butt out and hopefully not throw it on the beach.
Anyone else? Are you going to present this?
I will be presenting it at town meeting next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.